Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm bringing you my first ever attempt at a deck profile on Nekroz. So I've been playing around with this deck for a long time now, and it is very fun. This deck has been around for I don't even know how many years, probably like 5 or 6. It came out back when I was in college, and back then I couldn't afford it, and I think a lot of other people couldn't afford it. But now this deck is actually really budget, which is fantastic for anybody who was always really wanting to play this deck. It's a lot of fun. And for old school players, it's really cool because it deals with all ritual summons. So yeah, we'll just hop right into it. I really love the mechanic of the ritual summoning, and with the incantations that were added to the game a while ago, it just really helps to make this deck more efficient, which is desperately needed for the ritual monsters. So starting off, we have 3 of the Nekroz of Brionic. So basically what this card does is it actually, most of these cards have 2 effects, but what's really nice about this card is that you can discard it from the hand in order to add another Nekroz monster. So it's just really very versatile to keep the consistency of your deck going. The best thing about this deck, the reason why it was so expensive back in the day, was because of its hyper consistency, and it really just like had such an insane amount of speed for the time of when these decks were out. Back then, like the biggest decks, I believe Ritual Beasts came out in like the same set, as well as like there was spell books and all that stuff around. So like really cool, awesome decks, but nothing that was like as turbo consistent or fast as this. So the other effect of Brionic is that while it's on the field, you can target up to 2 face-up monsters on the field that were special summoned from the extra deck, and then just shuffle them back into the deck. So this deck is really nice for just getting rid of those problem cards that are really giving you trouble. It is a little unfortunate that it sends them back into the deck, but we do have other ways of dealing with problem cards as well. So going on with Colossus, Colossus is like the great pair to work with Brionic. So Brionic adds a monster from your deck to your hand, and Colossus can be discarded to add one of your ritual spells. So it's always very nice. Actually, Colossus's effect is that it can add a Nekroz spell or trap. So far we don't have a trap in the game, but hey, maybe someday we will. But besides that, its other effect is that while it's on the field, once per turn, you can, during either player's turn, target a face-up monster on the field that was special summoned from the extra deck, and then for this turn, its attack becomes 0, and its effects are negated. So very nice for just getting rid of those problem cards again. This deck, it's so funny how this deck is just all ritual summoning and super fast ritual summoning, and all it focuses on is just negating and stopping your opponent's extra deck monsters. So it's basically like, no, we're not dealing with the extra deck, we're doing rituals now. From there, we're going to go on into my favorite card, which is Nekroz of Trishula. So yeah, Trish, if you guys know the Synchro card, this card basically works the exact same way, except your opponent does have to have 1 card in each of the 3 targets, so hand, field, and graveyard. It doesn't work if they are missing one, so that's why I like playing this deck a little bit more going second, just because you can get that Trish effect off. And again, also the Trish and Brionic, these are both Synchro cards, so it's fun that they made them, adapted them into rituals. It would be really neat if we could see like a Colossus and some of the other cards get adapted into Synchros, because I don't believe that they're come from other Synchro stuff. But anyways, so what Trishula does is that actually if one of your monsters is getting targeted by a card effect, you can discard this in order to negate it. So that is actually a pretty nice effect. We also have another ritual monster in the deck that can also negate targeting. So we prefer to put this on the field, but I already explained its other field effect. And then we're going to go on into 2 of the Valkyris. Valkyris is something where I'm considering like maybe taking one out and testing out the Nekroz of Gungnir, but I'm not totally sure if I like that. But anyways, Valkyris is the one that I go into least of all. Another thing to keep in mind is that with these 2, you can't use level 9s or level 8s for their full summon. You have to sort of break it up into other stuff. But anyways, what Valkyris does is that while he's on the field, he can tribute up to 2 monsters from your hand or field, and then you get to draw up to the same number of cards. So kind of nice. It actually has some synergy with the another of the ritual monsters that we run in here, the Cyber Angel Benton, who when it gets tributed helps to get you advantage, so kind of nice there. It also has a battle fader-like effect when in the hand, so it is a little bit versatile. I just don't really care for going into it too much, but he is a big body, and yeah, overall he does help synergize with the deck very well. So then we're going on into the one Nekroz of Unicorn. It is a limited card, so hopefully one day we'll be able to see that go unlimited on the ban list. But basically while it's on the field is it negates the effects of all of your opponent's monsters special summon from the extra deck, which is really powerful for this. So again, this whole deck basically works around the effect of, hey, we don't like monsters from the extra deck, we're focusing on rituals. So I think that's really, really fun. So that's going to do it for all of the Nekroz rituals. Now we're going to go on into 3 of the Incantation Chalice line. This card is just a great extender. Basically what you do is, or actually it's more of like a starter card. I usually try to start this on my beginning of my turn. What you can do is you can reveal this in order to activate its effect, and then you discard a card from your hand in order to special summon an incantation from the deck. So you can reveal this card and then just discard it right away with its own effect. And then the downside is that if you don't ritual summon for this turn, you take 2,500 points of damage, which is a lot, but we are, if you're going to get this effect off, you're already halfway there to being able to ritual summon anyways. So as long as you have this and one of your other ritual pieces, that's totally fine, because the incantation that you summon is going to be getting you advantage anyways. So then going on, we have the Cerevis. This is the card I was mentioning earlier, which can negate targeting effects. The one Cyber Angel Benton, just to help get a little bit more advantage if it's tributed. It's a level 6, so it works great with the Brionic. And also, yeah, we will get to another reason why it's in the deck later. So then we're going on into 3 of the Manju of 10,000 Hands. Don't really need any explanation on this. It's basically the best starter for rituals ever, and you know, as long as it's like doesn't get hit on the ban list like the rest of the ritual support cards, then this card is, you know, number 1. Then we're going to go on into the incantations. We're playing 2 of the Candle, 2 of the Bookstone, 2 Talismandra, and 2 Pencil Plume. So these cards are just hilarious. I think that they are so funny. But basically 2 of each of these 4. What these cards do, Candle and Bookstone are your monster. These pick up your ritual spells. So Candle picks up a picks up a ritual spell from the main deck, and Bookstone picks up a ritual spell from the graveyard when special summoned from the deck. Talismandra picks up a ritual monster from the deck, and Pencil Plume picks up a ritual monster from the graveyard. So the way that these cards work, it works just in tandem with your Chalice line. So what you're doing is you reveal this, and then that lets you to special summon a monster from your deck. So you special summon this from the deck, and then when this card is special summoned from the deck, it adds a ritual monster. So and also these guys all have an effect where you can reveal a ritual card in your hand in order to special summon this, and then when this card is special summoned from that effect, then you can special summon another incantation from the main deck, and then you get that main deck special summon effect. So these cards just synergize so well with every ritual deck, and I believe that Nekroz is like the best one to toss it in. Then going on, we're playing the 1 Shurit, Strategist of the Nekroz, and 1 Vanity's Ruler. Ruler is your reason why you're playing the Benton. If you can somehow get Benton into your hand with a few of the other cards, that will help you to pick up your Vanity's Ruler. And then if you get Vanity's Ruler on the field, your opponent can't special summon from the extra deck. So just another great way to stop your opponent's extra deck plays. And if they can't go into the extra deck nowadays, that's basically enough to call it game. Now for the spells, I'm looking to change this up just a little bit, but I'm playing 2 of the Nekroz cycle and only 1 of the Kaleidoscope, as well as 1 of the Nekroz Mirror. So basically the way that these cards work, I'm really hoping to boost this up to another Kaleidoscope. I'm thinking of maybe taking out 1 of the incantations, just because you don't usually need all of these incantations. I'm thinking of maybe taking out 1 of the Pencil Plume or 1 of the Bookstone, but I really like the Bookstone in the main deck because he can pick up your spells from the graveyard. But anyways, the way that these work is that Cycle can ritual summon 1 of your ritual monsters from the hand, or from the graveyard, which is just nuts. The fact that it can ritual summon from the graveyard is pretty sweet. So if your graveyard is already well set up, your cycle is going to help you get there. That's why I like playing two of them. It's basically a miracle fusion for your ritual Nekroz monsters, so really fantastic there. Then what you do with Kaleidoscope is, that's the only reason why you're basically playing an extra deck, is that with Kaleidoscope you're able to use your materials also from your extra deck. So, and then also it has like a really another cool ceiling to it, to where if you have two of the Nekroz monsters, so let's say that you have Trishula as well as Clausulus, you add their stars together, and that is a level 12, and then that is the reason why you were playing Shooting Quasar Dragon in the deck. So you send Quasar from the extra deck, and that is your 12 stars that you need, and then you can special summon both of these cards from the hand. So you get 2 rituals for the price of 1, and also it doesn't cost you any hand or field advantage because you're just using materials from the extra deck. So it's really, really sweet. I like doing that. That's why I'm trying to bump this card up to 2, and I think I'm just going to take out one of the incantations to do that. Then going on, we have Nekroz Mirror. It's basically your generic ritual card, but it ritual summons any ritual Nekroz monster by attributing cards from the hand or field, and or banish Nekroz monsters from your graveyard, so that is very nice. Again, if your graveyard is set up, you can do all that stuff. And then ritual summon a Nekroz monster from your hand. So the levels have to be exact with all of these cards, but hey, it's still pretty nice. And again, all of these cards, when they're in the graveyard, you can banish this from the graveyard as well as another Nekroz monster, and then you get to add another Nekroz spell from your deck to your hand. So that was that's basically the reason why this deck is so hyper consistent, is because almost all of the advantage replaces itself. So everything is a +1, or at least replaces itself, so it's always very, very nice. So that's going to do it for our Nekroz ritual spells. Going on then, for our last of the ritual spells, we have Incantation Inception. So this card is actually really neat. It's fun to just play at 1 in the deck, but basically this card can be used to ritual summon any of your ritual monsters. The only downside is that you have to use incantation monsters from your hand or field as the ritual tributes. But besides that, also when this card's in the graveyard, you can send an incantation card from your hand or face upon the field. Except for this card, and then you can special summon an incantation from your deck, and then you add this card back from the graveyard into your hand. So it's really nice that this card just like actually has a little bit of recursion, adds it back to your hand. So again, helping with the hand advantage, and then it helps you to special summon one of those incantations from the main deck. So that's how we want to special summon them, because then that's how we get the most advantage off. So Inception, very nice card to keep in the deck. Then going on into our only normal spell of the deck, we have Preparation of Rites. Pretty darn standard for a ritual deck, but basically what this card does is it adds a level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand, so that's almost all of our targets. And then also you can then add a ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand. The nice thing about this is that it's not required for you to have a ritual spell in the graveyard, so you can do this no matter what. It will always go off. It doesn't take any graveyard setup, so you can use it turn 1, move number 1, but still it's nice to be able to get those Nekroz cards back. And that's why it's kind of okay if you're playing like 1 Kaleidoscope and 1 Mirror, but definitely nice to try to bump those cards up a little bit if you can. Then for our last card, for our 4D card deck, we have 3 Called by the Grave. We don't want any of our searches to be getting stopped by hand traps, so again, pretty standard to be playing 3 Called by the Grave at this point. You guys have played Yu-Gi-Oh! Before. So now we're going to go on into the extra deck, which doesn't really matter very much, but for our main link, we are playing the Nephthys, the Sacred Flame. Also, I should mention that you cannot special summon from the extra deck when you have the incantation monsters on the field, so that's kind of a big no-no. You cannot use these cards as materials for the Sacred Flame, but anyways, what this card does is that if, depending on the number of ritual monsters you use as materials, you basically get added effects. So it's a link 3, so if you use one ritual monster for its summon, it can't be destroyed by battle. If you use 2 rituals, it can't be destroyed by card effects, and it gains 1200 attack. And then if you use 3 for its material, neither player can target it with card effects, and also then it gains another 1200 attack. So this card is just ridiculous. If you use 3 rituals, you can get it to 4800 attack. Can't be destroyed by battle, can't be destroyed by card effects, can't be targeted. And yeah, so if you're able to get this on the field, it's usually game over. It's pretty hard to get around. Then just for some added cards, I'm playing the IP Masquerade, Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, just for some extra plays. And then for our Kaleidoscope targets, we have our level 12, level 11, 10, 9, and then we have 7 Power Tool Dragon there, and Brionic. So you guys can play whatever you want. That's sort of a fun part about this deck, is that you get to play like your favorite synchros or fusions, whatever you guys want in the extra deck, and it doesn't matter because you're never going to be summoning these cards. But I think it's fun to have Trish and Brionic in the extra deck at least, and then you can just sort of play around with whatever else you want. Then just for the level 4 targets, we have Herald of the Arclight. And when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a ritual monster or spell from your deck to your hand, so that's always very nice. And then lastly, we're playing the 3 Elder Entity Natis, so it's pretty common to be playing this and this in the deck. If you are playing the Zaborg the Mega Monarch play, you can do that as well, but I don't really care for playing that very much. Then going on for the side deck, this is kind of where, like in the extra deck, again, you don't need to be playing all these links. And then in the side deck, that's where it can get a little bit spendy, but really not too much. Overall, this deck is still very budget. So for side deck, we're playing 3 Nibiru, 3 Dark Ruler No More, just to get around all the combo decks. For decks that are playing Floodgates and whatnot, we want to be playing 3 Twin Twisters, as well as 1 Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Pretty nice to be having that in there. Then, just for some Floodgates of our own, we're playing the 2 Denka Sekka. And then for our last 3 cards, this is sort of up to you. I would maybe try to make this into 3 evenly matched, especially if you're going to be going second, or even try to slap evenly matched into the main deck. But besides that, what you can do to change up the side deck just a little bit is you can play 3 Super Poly. The main deck does have a little bit of room to squeeze if you want to get rid of some of the cards like Seravis and, again, like a little bit of the incantations, or even if you want to get rid of like the Cyber Angel Benton and the Vanity's Ruler engine, that is totally fine. But overall, if you're just going for like that grindy Nekroz deck build, you can sort of change it up, and you can put in the Super Polys just to add a little bit of extra oomph. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the deck profile. I do have one quick recommendation. When I was studying this deck, I did watch a few deck profiles from another guy. There is another YouTuber out there by the name of, trying to think of it now, Winter Kills, I believe. So if you guys want to go see another deck profile, his video is like 32 minutes long, but Winter Kills, or Winter_Kills, sorry. Go check him out. He does a really cool in-depth view of this deck, which is really nuts. I've never seen a guy go as in-depth as he did with his deck profile. Go ahead and check him out. Let me know if you do. Let me know what you guys think of his video, what you think of this video. Overall, I really found his to be interesting. He goes through all the steps of which cards in the main deck are like your starters, what's your extenders, and all that stuff. So really fun. Go check him out. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.